Good morning. Happy Sunday. I know I should be making something that's spiritual, church related. We go to church on Saturday, so I do business stuff and life stuff. Here's the thing is work-life balance, and if we want to bring in spiritual balance, to be perfectly honest, are a total lie. And the reason for this is that comes from a place of scarcity and worry that we are going to imbalance those things, because that's our tendency. We have a place of where we don't trust ourselves in those areas, and so we have to forcibly balance those things. It's not helping you to look at it from that perspective. Ed Milet has a talk about this, and this is where I got this from first for myself, but also observing some of the people that I look up to, mentors that I've had over the years, is they don't have a sort of separated work, life, spiritual balance whatsoever. And the most successful people don't operate in that, trying to juggle these types of things. They just are. It just is. Their life is their life, and they exist in their life. They don't try to juggle and balance everything that they want to do. They just flow and do. You see, having a work-life balance or a spiritual work-life balance comes from a place of feeling like something is out of whack. And we have a desire to do one thing, so we have to require and forcibly cause ourselves to balance things because we don't trust ourselves to do so on our own. Here's the thing. You have permission to make your family a priority. Anything that you do in work involves your family. Anything that you do spiritually involves your life. Anything you do in work and life, they're all together. This separation in our minds that we have our work version of ourselves, our life version of ourselves, our spiritual version of ourselves is causing and hindering us on the deepest core level, because we put aside certain identities into these compartments. And we say, okay, I'm this version of myself here, I'm this version of myself there, and I have to make sure that I balance these things. No, that's a total lie. The number one thing to do is make your life, your family life, that's the most important thing. And then everything else flows around that. You see, a lot of people struggle with this because they're trying so hard to do work and to do spirituality with guilt about what they're doing in their life, and they never quite do very good at either because of this broken mindset of work-life balance. The truth is this: live your life. Choose what you want to do. Make decisions. You don't have to look for permission to do one thing or another. There's systems and stuff, and maybe you've heard certain people preaching or teaching certain things because that's what's worked for them. Find what works for you, and what works for somebody else isn't always what's worked for other people or what's going to work for you. It's not about balance. It's about being and designing and creating and crafting your life strategically for you, not anything like anybody else whatsoever, not from comparison or copying anybody else. And we take wisdom from other people in these sources, and yet sometimes we take on some wisdom that looks like wisdom, like work-life balance, and it's actually the worst advice possible because it sounds good to our head. It sounds good, and it actually feels good. Work-life balance requires no responsibility because you're no longer responsible for the choices you make. You are giving up the authority and the responsibility of your life to the balance, to the work-life balance, and it actually becomes an excuse for you to live in a way that is not serving you because, hey, at least I got work-life balance. And I see this so often with people, and it manifests differently at different stages in life. Maybe it's fitness work-life balance. Maybe it's church work-life balance. Maybe it's kids work, whatever. If you're single, if you're married, it's different. But this type of mindset that we have to somehow juggle and balance different versions of ourselves is a lie. Be yourself, choose and design your life the way that serves you. Use tools of time management, but allow them to be fluid to where if you don't hit a goal, it's okay. It's actually okay. And you don't need to prove or validate what you're doing to anybody but yourself. And you have to believe in it yourself. Believe in yourself enough to do the thing that is going to get you from where you are right now to your goals instead of requiring somebody else to have that belief for you. And in this, choose, I'm not going to operate in work-life balance. That might actually be a hard thing for some people to say and to choose. I'm not going to operate in a work-life balance mindset because they've been so used to doing that. But you got to ask yourself this: what is the risk of saying that? What are you worried about? That worry, the reason that it can be anxious and anxiety is caused and painful saying that is because a lack of ownership over what you're feeling at that moment, and you're associating that feeling with what might potentially happen. And you're allowing the potential failure keep you stuck in a prison, because at least prison is better than owning up to and taking ownership over my life and choosing to create my life. And this is what I see so many people doing, is choosing a prison of work-life balance or spiritual work-life balance or fitness work-life balance, because they think that that's the only way to live their life the way they want to, and they're actually choosing a lesser life. They are choosing explicitly a much lesser version of their life, a much unhappier version that comes from a comparison of what they don't want and what they do want. And so they're locking themselves up into this framework because they don't trust themselves. Learn to trust yourself, your intuition, and your choices. Choose to do things. You don't need to get permission from anybody. You don't need to prove and validate that you can do what you say you can do before you go out and do it. Just do it and flow with it. And stop operating from this place of work-life balance. It's life. That's why my podcast is called the Grow Your Life podcast. And some people don't get that. Well, why, Jeremiah, is it not called the Grow Your Business podcast? Because growing a business affects your life. Whether you're single or married, if you build a business, it is your life that you are taking a portion of your life, hours of your life, and doing something with your life in an area. And so we constantly are trying to balance our life when in fact it's life. And you just live your life and choose to design your life by taking ownership over those choices and developing habits that help you and serve you towards your goals. One of the worst habits that you can do in this is the concept of work-life balance. One of the best ways to do this is to say, no, I'm going to make what I want to do a priority and make myself worth it and love myself enough to do the thing that I know that I need to do right now, and choose to prioritize the best thing for me, regardless of what all of my environmental circumstances are telling me. And then do that thing. Grow your life, everybody. We'll talk soon.